Michelle was talking to her realtor when she opened Google Earth. When she saw a man camping on her roof, she called the police. The man was her missing father, and her family had been holding his funeral for 3 years. From which city around the world are you watching this video today? Write it in the comments. And if you believe the secrets revealed by modern technology deserve to be told, don't forget to subscribe. Michelle Henderson, 38 years old, living in Portland, Oregon, was a graphic designer. In 2019, she had lost her father in a traffic accident. At least that's what her family thought. David Henderson, Michelle's father, hadn't told anyone where he was going when he left home 3 years ago. When he didn't come home in the evening, his family started to worry. The next morning, they contacted the police. 2 weeks later, they found David's car at the bottom of a cliff near Portland. The car was wrecked, but there was no body inside. Police assumed David died in the accident, and his body was swept away by the river. The family held a funeral. An empty coffin was buried. Michelle and her mother, Margaret, mourned and tried to continue their lives. Years passed. Michelle got married, continued living with her husband Thomas in the family home in Portland. The house was very big, too much for just the two of them. In March 2024, Michelle decided to sell her house. They would move to a smaller place. She made an appointment with realtor Linda Martinez. That Friday, Linda came. They toured the house. The house was beautiful, but the market value was unknown. Linda took out her tablet. "Let's look at your house's Google Earth image," she said. "This is very helpful in evaluation." Michelle was also curious. She had never seen how her house looked from above. Linda opened Google Earth, entered the address. The satellite image loaded. The Henderson family's house appeared on the screen. "Here's your house," Linda said. "It's in a very nice location." Michelle wanted to zoom in. "May I see it too?" Linda gave the tablet to Michelle. Michelle pressed the zoom button. The details of the house began to appear clearly. "The garden looks nice," Michelle said. "The roof is also in good condition." Just then, when she focused on the roof, she noticed something. On the back of the roof, between the chimneys, there was a small but distinct structure. "What is this?" she asked Linda. Linda looked at the tablet. "I don't know. Maybe an AC unit or something." But when Michelle looked closer, she saw this wasn't an AC unit. It looked like a small tent. And next to the tent, there was a shadow that looked like a human figure. "This looks like a tent," Michelle said. Linda also looked carefully. "It really does. Someone seems to have camped on your roof. When was this photo taken?" Linda checked the photo date on Google Earth. It showed June 2023. Photo from 10 months ago. What Michelle was thinking was terrifying. Could someone have been living on her roof for 10 months? "We should go up and look," Michelle said. The house was 2 stories. Access to the 3rd floor was through the roof door. Michelle hadn't opened that door for 3 years. Michelle and Linda went up to the 3rd floor together. The roof door was locked. Michelle got the key, unlocked it. She slowly opened the door and looked out. At first, it looked normal. Then, when she looked to the right, she froze. There really was a small tent there. And next to the tent were several items. Canned food, water bottles, blankets. "Someone is really living here," Linda whispered. At that moment, they heard movement from the tent. Someone was inside. Michelle backed away in fear. "We should call the police." Linda immediately called 911. "Emergency, there's an unidentified person on our house roof." Minutes later, the police arrived. 2 officers went up to the roof with Michelle and Linda. Police officer Mike Chen approached the tent. He saw someone was inside. "Please come out of the tent." Police. The tent moved. The zipper slowly opened. A middle-aged man came out. When Michelle saw the man, she couldn't breathe. This was impossible. "Dad?" The man saw Michelle. His eyes filled. He couldn't say anything. It was David Henderson, her father, who was thought to have died 3 years ago. "David, how are you here?" Michelle started crying. "You died. We held your funeral." David slowly stood up. He looked very old. His hair had turned white. His beard had grown long. "I didn't die, daughter. I just disappeared." Officer Chen was trying to understand the situation. "Are you David Henderson? In your missing person report, you appear dead." "Yes, I'm David, but I didn't die. I've been living here for the last 3 years." Michelle was shocked. "Why? Why didn't you tell us? Mom missed you so much." "I missed you so much." David sat down, buried his face in his hands. "Because I was ashamed. Because I didn't want to be a burden to you." Michelle sat next to her father. "What do you mean?" David took a deep breath. "Daughter, I made very big mistakes. Our financial situation was bad. We had debts. I couldn't pay for your college tuition." Michelle remembered. She knew her family had financial difficulties before starting university. "Dad, that wasn't important. I had gotten a scholarship anyway, but I felt like a failure. I couldn't take care of my family. And then that job offer came." "What job offer?" David continued. "I got an offer from a man. He was paying very good money, but but it was an illegal job. Drug trafficking. Michelle's heart stopped. Did you transport drugs? No. I changed my mind at the last moment. But those men started threatening me. They said they would harm the family. David wiped his eyes. The night I left home, I was going to talk to them, but I changed my mind on the way. I decided to run away. What about your car? I pushed my car over the cliff. I wanted to appear dead. That way they couldn't threaten you. Michelle was crying. So, where did you live for 3 years? David pointed around. Mostly here, on your roof. Sometimes at the library, sometimes in the park, but mostly here. Didn't you ever see us? I saw you every day. I watched you from the windows. I watched your wedding day from the roof, too. I was very proud. Michelle started crying more. You were living upstairs for 3 years while we were downstairs missing you. I knew, but I was trying to protect you. Meanwhile, Linda was quietly talking to the police. David Henderson's situation wasn't considered a crime by law. He was living on his own house's roof. Officer Chen turned to Michelle. There's no crime in this situation. Mr. Henderson can continue staying here if he wants. Michelle looked at her father. You don't need to be afraid anymore. Those men have probably forgotten too. 3 years have passed. Are you sure? I'm sure. And now you're coming downstairs. You'll live with your family. David hugged Michelle. I missed you so much, daughter. I missed you so much too, Dad. That day, David Henderson returned home after 3 years. Michelle called her mother, explained the situation. Margaret was shocked but very happy. When Mom came and saw David, she almost fainted. Her husband, whom she had mourned for 3 years, was in front of her. David, are you really here? Yes, Margaret. I'm sorry. I made a very big mistake. Margaret hugged her husband. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you came back. That evening, the Henderson family had dinner together for the first time in 3 years. They brought down David's belongings from the roof, repaired his old room. The next day, David went to the doctor. Living on the roof for 3 years had affected his health, but he didn't have a serious problem. Linda, the realtor, reported the situation to the police. David Henderson was officially brought back to life. His death record was cancelled. A week later, David started getting psychological support. It would take time for him to cope with 3 years of trauma. Michelle was very surprised after her discovery on Google Earth. If she hadn't done the property evaluation, she would never have found her father, Thomas. Michelle's husband was shocked when he learned the situation. His father-in-law had been living on their house roof for 3 years, and they didn't know. David had proper conversations with his family. He explained why he ran away, why he didn't come back. I felt very unsuccessful. I didn't want to be a burden to you, and I was very afraid of those threats. Margaret held her husband's hand. We would have overcome everything together. Running away wasn't the solution. I know now, but my mind was very confused then. Months later, David started looking for work. Although his age was a bit high, he had experience. He found an accounting job at a small company. Michelle gave up selling her house. The father's house was even more meaningful now. They arranged David's room and continued living together. One day, Michelle opened Google Earth again. This time the roof was empty. David was downstairs now with his family. Looking at that photo, she kept thinking, what would have happened if she hadn't done the property evaluation? Her father would continue living on the roof, and they would never find him. She asked David, did you never want to come downstairs? Of course I did. I wanted to every day, but I was afraid. I was afraid of putting you in danger. You don't have anything to be afraid of anymore. I know. And this is the best decision I've made in my life. Coming back. A year later, the Henderson family had become much stronger than before. David's loss had brought them much closer to each other. Michelle sometimes goes up to the roof, sees the place where her father lived for 3 years. They had made a small garden there now. This story teaches us this. Sometimes technology can change our lives in unexpected ways. Michelle was just trying to do a property evaluation, but she found her lost father. Thanks to modern technology, she discovered her father living on the roof. If there was no Google Earth, David might have lived on the roof forever, and his family would never have found it. Sometimes what we're looking for is very close to us. We just need to look in the right place. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe. We're here for the secrets revealed by technology.